Now, I was talking about how I'm going to reminisce about what I've said in the previous videos. I would like to go back, I would say even 60, 70 videos ago, wherein I stated that if India is able to make it a consumer economy, there is a possibility that India can challenge the world with regard to its economy. And, that is turning out to be true today. For example, the government reduced the GST, and it also comparatively increased the free cash flow in the hands of the people by increasing the income tax rate, income tax, exemption level. So if you look at it from that perspective, it is very clear that we were suffering from, no cash rather than the economy being bad. No, we had no cash flow. We were living hand to mouth. Most of the people were living hand to mouth by paying taxes. They were paying capital gains. They are paying taxes on this, paying taxes on the high GST rates. After all this, they had to save for the future. To save taxes, they were saving. And then the eye opener. The eye opener was the government felt, hey, let us see what happens if we are able to increase the income tax exemption rate for the people. And so that let us give some more cash in their hands. Let us see what happens. Now what happened? Today, the GST is going through the roof. From one day, I think they are expecting 2 lakh crores this month. 2 lakh crores of GST this month after reduction in the GST rates. So what is happening? What I said has happened. That the people are spending. The people are willing to spend. The people are willing to, use their money for the development of India. As GST grows, it means that purchases, sales, commercial activities are on the rise. So, there has been an indirect effect of the, if suppose the income tax slabs are increased, there is a consequent effect in the increase of services and increase of purchase of commodities and purchase of items, FMCG goods, etc. I also read, very recently, very surprising, it has never happened. It used to happen during the licensing era, the license era which we suffered from 1960-70. What happened was that at that time there were limited scope for expansion, and therefore there were limits to which the production could take place. And hence there were limits to which there used to be a long queue waiting for some dishwasher or for a, sewing machine or even for a geyser. That has happened now. Not because of licensing. It is because of the need of the people, the demand which is arisen. The demand for such goods, primary goods, these are supposed to have been luxury goods for us. Today, dishwasher, which is very, people, both the husband and wife are, working. They are away from their families. There is no father and mother to back them up. Father and mother are somewhere. Both the fathers and mothers are somewhere. They have 2 children to take care of. That is their working parents. One person is going towards the east, another person going to the west. One is at 8 o'clock, another person 9 o'clock. The children bus comes at 7:30. Everything has to be cooked. Everything has to be done. Everything has to be packed and closed and shut down. The office, the house shut down and then rushed. And the rush takes place in the morning. Any person, who's been knowledgeable would have experienced this. It has been going on for so many years. But today, with the availability of washing machines, geysers, dishwashers and gas and electric, cookers and so many things, with the modern technology coming through, we are able to see that activities are, increasing. People are having time for each other. People, the wife does not feel so harassed Even the smallest of the houses today, I would say the poorest earning member of the in India today is willing to invest in a washing machine, at least a hand washing machine, a small washing machine, so that it helps the wife, because she also goes to work. She has to come and cook. Everybody is now, the government itself has made it mandatory to go in for gas connections, because now kerosene is out of the question. Previously, they used to use kerosene stoves. So kerosene stoves are out of the question. Either people go for gas, or I would say not either. Today, only gas. And one more step as the government has taken place for flats. They are no longer having cylinders. They are supplying gas through pipelines directly. All these technologies are taking it forward. When that happens, consumption increases. And when this consumption increases, the demand rises. And that is what I was trying to express to you. That there is a waiting list for dishwashers and geysers. That is what I was. If it had been for a car, or it had been for a 200, 150, inch TV or something like that, I would be surprised. But for an ordinary dishwasher and for a geyser, if people are air conditioner, people are waiting for 3 months and 4 months, it goes to show the pent up requirement which is available in India. The pent up, the hunger for newer things which we require. The only problem which we are now facing is manufacturing. If we might end up in a problem in the future, because we are now entering into the area of consumerism. When we are entering into the area of consumerism, the West and most of the eastern part of the world, like Malaysia, Singapore, all those places are already saturated with consumerism. So when that happens, when I do not know whether we'll be able to satisfy our demand, whether we will ever enter into a field where there will be a surplus production remaining which we need to export to satisfy the requirements of India, because the middle class population is increasing. General Z is, the requirements of General Z are increasing, and the demand is rising, and manufacturing is also increasing. The only worry which I'm having is whether we will be, whether we'll end up in too much of a consumerism market rather than a limitation on that, which the consequence of that will be a lot of, used up commodities available and thrown in the, in the dustbin. How do we dispose of that waste? That waste, how are we going to dispose, is a very important matter which we should consider. Yes, India is growing. There's demand for all these goods, supposed to be luxury goods, ACs, refrigerators, geysers, washing machines, dishwashers, all these are rising. But when we dispose of them, what happens? Because there are people who are willing to dispose them every 5 years. There are people who hold on to them for 10 years also, but people are willing to dispose them every 5 years because the technology is changing, their requirements change, their needs change, the children's viewpoints change, the next generation is taking over. And what happens to the disposables? Are we going to have facilities by which we repair them and take them to the next generation who can't afford a newer product? Because sometimes there are still places where these can be used rather than thrown away, and where there are places in India which require them in rural areas where people are not aware of it, where today you will be able to use these disposed items. And hence, my skepticism, which I was thinking in the beginning, that there will not be enough to consume if the manufacturing increases, is that 600 million people, replacements taking place, people require these goods, repairing of these goods, taking them to different places. I don't think so. My skepticism is right. I think there will be sufficient opportunities if we are able to increase the production to the requirements which we need. I'll continue later.